I can talk from experience. That's how I've used my platform, not from my own personal experience, but my family experience. My uncle, Brendan Batson, played professional football. He was one of the 3 degrees that played for West Brom in the late 70s, early 80s with the late Cyril Regis and the late Laurie Cunningham. He would talk about what it was like to play at a time when immigration was at the top of the agenda pretty much on a daily basis. And even my own parents would experience it. You'd hear it on the radio, you'd see it on the TV with certain sitcoms, um, being very unkind about people that had immigrated from the Caribbean. And my uncle would talk about, the minute you stepped off the coach going to an away game, there was no security around in those days like you have nowadays with barriers and what have you. You'd have the fans, home and away, just shouting the most disgusting abuse, and you get spat at as well. And then you go in the changing room, you'd hear the monkey chants already, and then you'd step out onto the pitch and you'd hear even more monkey chants when you'd go for a corner or you score a goal. So not only did your club, not particularly with West Brom because they loved the 3 degrees, but other clubs, if they didn't like you because of your skin color, they let you know that. And then you'd walk out in daily society anyway, go down the shops, and there'd be some idiots in a car, wind down their window and shout abuse at you even then. So I can talk from experience, from family experience. And I think it's important to highlight how much the country has moved forward from the day-to-day societal kind of things, but has taken a little bit of a step back over the recent few years as we've seen. It's not just about social media, it's a society issue, which I know keeps getting talked about, but it's true. It is true. So I use my platform to remind people how far we have come, but also the dangers that we are slowly slipping back. And with social media now adding that extra layer, people just need to step up their game. It's all well and good, saying, well, racism is a terrible thing. So what are you doing about it? Be an ally, for example. Speak out. Say it how it is. Show us that you give two hoots, actually, and be on the side of society, not just of Black people, but of brown people as well. And that's how I use my platform for sure. I mean, I could rant about it for a long time. But, I was raised in a household where, I've had racist abuse at me. I've had someone shout at me in the street, did I want a banana, love? I've had dog mess sent to me in the post, all that kind of nonsense. And yet I still wake up each day believing in me and believing in this country. So it's, I talk from a personal perspective, but I also talk from a perspective of just wanting a better life for everybody, and that right for everybody to enjoy their lives and live their lives as they see fit.
Yeah, I just got one more question on this topic. The one piece that really sort of struck me was back in, I think it was June, was Michael Holding and Emily Rainford Brent on Sky Sports Cricket. It was a very, very powerful, very moving piece that sort of really shook me. Because obviously I can't, begin to understand or even, appreciate what someone of color has been through. Being a white man, I've never been discriminated against because of my skin color, and so I can't, begin to understand what that must feel like. What I was going to ask is do you think the amount of work that has been done sort of getting this message out there by Sky Sports, by BT Sport, by the BBC as well, do you think that is making a difference? Do you think it is starting to reduce it, or do you think there is still so much further to go that it's just scratching the surface?
I think there's still so much further to go, and I think it has scratched the surface. I feel that there's been a little bit of tide turning. And, Sam, you talk about, you don't know what it's like, but you get it. That's all people ask, is that you just understand and empathize. Yeah, of course, you of course you're not going to be that person who, because your skin is white, there is certain things that you're not going to have experience. But the fact that you understand it is enough for me And that's me speaking from a personal perspective. Somebody else might have a completely different point of view, and that's absolutely fine. But the fact that you understand it is enough for me, Sam, because you get it. And that's all I ask personally. And I think you've seen that now over the last few months, particularly the way Michael Holding spoke. And he spoke so brilliantly about his experiences and that he's not an idiot either. And I think that's really important as well, because I think when I say that, it's that usual thing, you know, when there's a terrible occurrence of something and you get the usual, yeah, we need to make change, we need to do this, and then it goes quiet 2 or 3 weeks later. And for some of us within the community, we're like, oh, it's the usual same old. This time, I think, as I said, I think the tide has turned more because we're not letting up anymore. There is no excuses. The minute something happens, everyone is on it and they'll stay on it. And I think there's the energy now to keep going with it and not allowing it to die. You know, the murder of George Floyd, I think, was a big part of that. What we saw in this country over the summer with the Black Lives Matter marches was a big part of that. There is, you know, I think there is so much fueling it now that to actually let it die and just wither away is unacceptable. And people are just not accepting that anymore. And I think what you've seen now with Sky Sports is doing with the partnership with Kick It Out, which I think is amazing. That's a big step. You wouldn't have had that 5 years ago, for sure. That's huge. And I truly believe you will see more and more of that. You just got to keep going, keep that energy going. And it's going to be hard. There will be times where it just feels like it's never ending. But each step forward means things are getting a little bit better, because it's unacceptable to go back to what it was, and we won't allow it to go back to what it was.